Was that in Chicago or was that? So Emmy has a sister that lives in Chicago, and she was driving with Abby, and clearly Emmy and Jesse and her mom, clearly Emmy is well, I guess middle-aged. Sorry. White woman, and if you didn't know, and she turned off into a neighborhood that clearly she did not belong in. She stood out like a sore thumb, whatever that means. That's a phrase. What does that mean? Like stood out like a sore thumb. Right. And so she knew she didn't belong. So when you know you don't belong in a place, it's uncomfortable at times, right? Maybe that's the way you felt when you first came to camp. Like, man, I don't belong here. These people love Jesus. Like, something fierce. Like, you're getting into this. I'm not really into this. You know, it's kind of making me weird. But then you start to feel like you fit in. But when you don't fit in a place, you stand out. At least you should. This is not our world. This is not our home. We should stand out because we're being different than the world. Okay? Not many of you are ever going to be faced with a lion's den. Probably not many of you will ever be faced with being thrown into a fiery furnace. And I hope none of you have to become vegetarians. Amen. Right. But some things that you may have to face are some stories we're going to talk about this morning. Okay? There was a fire chief. He grew up in Louisiana and he moved to Atlanta. And this fire chief was the first African-American fire chief in Atlanta. It was a great accomplishment for him. Okay? Great accomplishment. This guy wrote a book, a spiritual book, a religious book, on things, on topics like sex before marriage. Things like adultery. Things like homosexuality. Things like, the list of things that are in the Bible to talk about. He passed out free copies to his other firemen in his firehouse. And then decided, hey, we should explore this a little bit, and started a Bible study. It wasn't mandatory that they attend, but it started a Bible study. When whoever his bosses were found out that he was doing a Bible study with a book that he wrote that was coming out against things like sex and adultery and things like that, he got suspended. And eventually the city council, I think, is who oversaw this, decided to fire this guy because of his beliefs. He was fired because of his beliefs. You may have heard some of these other stories, and I want you to know this, I'm not picking on one specific topic, but it's kind of the current topic of the day. And so it may sound like I'm just talking about one specific area of sin, but I want you to know when you take a stand against all sin. Okay? But these stories incorporate specific ones. In Portland, in Oregon, there was a family that owned a bakery. And they made cakes for birthdays, they made cakes for weddings. And these guys were Christians. And a lesbian couple, because it's now officially okay in that state to have homosexual marriages, they said, we want you to make us a cake. And they said, it's against our beliefs, we're not going to do it. And they took it to court. And they lost. And if you know anybody who owns a small business, like a lawn mowing business, or a bakery, or something like that, small businesses run paycheck to paycheck. They literally count on that one more cake, or that one more photo shoot, or that one more yard to mow. They don't have, like you think, oh, they own a business, they got tons of money. That's just not the truth. They got fined $135,000 for not making this cake. It would have been a lot easier to make the cake and make money, right? They said, no, we're going to stand for what we believe is true. They got fined $135,000. This story went national. Well, guess what? Christians from all over the country started sending them money. To the tune of $517,000. So not only did they pay the fine, they were able to reestablish their business. Because they stood up for what they believed in. Phil Robinson in a similar thing. With Phil Robinson is the Duck Dynasty guy, the old Duck Dynasty guy. He did an interview with a newspaper or a magazine, and they were talking about all kinds of stuff. And then they said, well, because it was the hot topic of the day. Again, don't feel like I'm picking on this group of people, but it was the hot topic of the day. They said, well, how do you feel about homosexuality? He says, I'm against it. He says, but you need to know that Jesus loves them, that I love them, and that I'm not going to condemn them to hell. But I am completely against it because I feel like the Bible says it's something that we shouldn't do. That was his quote, give or take a few words. You know what they put in the article? I'm against homosexuality. So then he was labeled a homophobic, which I don't understand why if you come out and do something you're scared of it. But that's what phobic means. But he was labeled a homophobic, a bigot, and all this stuff. A&E, which is the station that airs his television show, said this guy is suspended from the show and he can't be on the show. Well, that's kind of ridiculous because who watches that show? Conservative Christian people. There was an outcry because this was in the off-season of filming. There was an outcry across the nation because once the whole article came out where he said, I'm against it, but I love him. And so does Jesus. When that whole thing came out and Christians saw his loving, tender heart and the heart of Jesus in his statement, and that he wasn't being phobic or angry or bigoted in his statement, there was an outcry and petitions. And people calling A&E and say, fine, we won't watch your show at all. If that's the kind of people you're going to be, and that's the stand you're going to take, we're going to take a stand as a nation and not watch your show anymore. That's making you a bajillion dollars. Guess what? Phil didn't miss an episode. Not one episode. There was a girl. One of the school shootings, unfortunately, have become a very common place. Matter of fact, you guys have... some of you do Alice training, some of you do hide and cower in the corner and just wait to be shot kind of thing. That's completely not the right thing to do, but you all have training protocols in your school right now about if there's an intruder, right? You have lockdown drills and stuff like that. Alright? Unfortunately, that's all because of probably almost 20 years ago in Colorado, in Columbine, Colorado, at a high school, a guy decided, I'm tired of these stupid Christians, I'm just going to kill them. He took a weapon into a school. Because back then there was no security measures. And he just started walking around saying, do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? And there was a young lady in the library that in that split second, with a gun pointed at her head, she knew what was about to happen. And she said, yes, I believe in Jesus. And boom, done. There's a movie coming out this month or next about that girl and her faith. And about her faith that didn't save her that day, but a faith that saved her for all eternity. Because it says in the Bible, if you deny me in front of men, I will deny you before my Father. She did not even know. How many of you could do that? With a gun pointed at your head right now. Would you save your life now? Or would you say, sure, I believe in Jesus? That's a tough choice. Fortunately, not yet. Many of us are going to have to face that kind of persecution. In this world, that is happening with ISIS. ISIS is taking Christians and saying, convert to our religion or die. And they're saying no, and then they're getting beheaded. And they're meeting Jesus very quickly. So, like we said last night, the answer to standing up is not always yes. It's not always God sending an angel to save you from the fiery furnace. It's not always God sending an angel to shut the mouths of the lions. Sometimes it's no, you're done, come see me now. That's hard. That's hard for me as a 40-year-old man, knowing that I've got children and a wife, to know that I would leave them behind. It's got to be hard for a 15-year-old thinking, I got my whole life ahead of me. I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I want to do this for a career. I get that. Fortunately, life and death is not something that is huge for us. Even taking small stands. We saw last night that community in Woodlawn decided they were going to stand up as a whole community. A current issue is Colin Kaepernick. Have you ever heard that name? He's the guy who started the whole, I'm not going to stand for the national anthem because I feel there are injustices in this country. He has the right to do that. This country gives him those freedoms. And this country gives him the freedom to say there are injustices. And are there injustices? Absolutely. Is that the way to approach them? I don't know. It's a peaceful demonstration, which I appreciate. He's not burning down buildings, so that's good. But Tim Tebow, when he played football, not baseball, because he plays baseball now, but when he played football, he wore eye black with Bible verses on him, and he bowed before every game in prayer in the end zone. And he took more heat from the national media about praying to his God and taking a stand that way than Colin Kaepernick has ever taken. Colin Kaepernick is being portrayed as a hero in this country. And is he doing something good for African American people? Absolutely. But he is doing something that is very controversial and is being praised. And Tim Tebow stood up for what he believed in and was condemned. And I'm going to tell you right now, in this country, that's the way religious people are viewed. Your views are wrong. Your views are bigoted. Your views are antiquated, which means out of date. Your views don't matter. And when you take a stand for what you believe in, you will be mocked, you will be made fun of, you will be ridiculed, and you will be shunned. But maybe, just maybe, another person says, I believe the same thing. You know, I just started a new job this year. I'm teaching online school. It's pretty fun. And it's always interesting when you start a new place because you want to give it's a fresh start to give the right impression. The words you choose to use. How you talk about people or don't talk about people. I've been very careful with what I say at this job. I've been very open about the fact that I run a camp, that I'm coming here this weekend. And some people, when they find out, change the subject very quickly because it makes them uncomfortable. Other people were like, that's really cool. I go to this church. Oh, really? I go to this church. I go to some people. Do you know this person? Yes. And so it creates a whole situation where when you find somebody who's similar to you, it's easy to latch on to them. So, when you stand, you may get mocked and ridiculed, but you may, just maybe, find somebody who's like you. And there's nothing else. That's why this camp is so awesome, right? Because you found people like you. Right? Weird people that love Jesus. Right? Amen. Weird people that love Jesus. And we love each other. How cool would it be to start something like this in your hometown? How cool would that be? But you've got to take a stand. Speaking of being shunned, Emmy, why don't you tell, we've got like 3 minutes. Why don't you tell us your story real quick about high school, and then we'll close it up with one more thing. You can just speak loud.
So in like junior high and all through probably late elementary school, I was a Christian, but I didn't really take it seriously, so maybe I wasn't a Christian. I don't know. But as I got into high school, I really started to own my faith. And because of that, I did stand out. I didn't do things that other people did. In conversations in a social studies class, in a debate, I saw the world a little bit differently than other people did. So I was not unpopular. I got along with everybody.
I mean, you were a cheerleader.
I hung out with the jocks. I hung out with the preps. I hung out with we call them hoods then. I don't know what we call them now, but like I kind of hung out with everybody, and I got along. But I still was kind of a little bit of the odd one who just kind of got along with everybody, but didn't really fit necessarily in one particular group. And there was a particular group of girls, you all know them, right? The Mean Girls, who are very popular. And I sat with them a lot, I hung out with them a lot, and often was uncomfortable by their actions or behavior, but I didn't partake in it, so I just was standing next to them. It was okay, right? And I remember one day distinctly, I was in lunch, and these girls were going from table to table to table in the cafeteria talking about another girl. And the things that they were saying about this girl that was not popular, was not in the in crowd, like it made me want to cry. I couldn't believe that they would talk about another human being this way, that they would hurt her. And so this rumor is spreading around the tables, and I said, hey guys, knock it off. Leave her alone. And they kind of laughed at me and continued to talk about her. And I had this moment where I realized if I stay a part of this group, if I sit here with them, I'm as guilty for what they're doing as they are. And my faith was serious, and so I told them again, knock it off. They did knock it off, and so I said, I can't be a part of this. And I got up. This was my junior year in high school. And I went and I sat at another table with much less popular people. I was never, ever welcomed back to that group. I spent the next year up until about a month before graduation where in a PE locker room, getting shoved around, getting talked about in the hallway, having the guys who were friends of those girls slam me into lockers. Because when I stood up and said, I can't be a part of this, I pointed out what they were doing. I pointed out how horrible it was. And because of that, they, I guess, needed to retaliate. I never really fit in again. But I knew that Jesus would not tolerate that behavior. It was unacceptable. And I chose to live the way he would want me to. Instead of the way they would want me to. I wouldn't go back to high school for $1 million. Jesus did not save me in that moment.
We could buy our own camp if you did that.
Would I what?
We could buy our own camp if you did that.
I know, right? But then I'd be 16 again and we couldn't hang out. So, Jesus did not save me in that moment. I went through the next year and a half of very, very miserable high school life because I chose to take a stand for what he believed in. He did not save me in that moment, but he has saved me. He held me. He preserved me. And when I'm graduating and you're getting ready to leave and everybody's signing your senior yearbooks, these same girls wrote, and other kids wrote in my yearbook, I wish I had had the courage to live the way you did. I wish that I had stood up for the things that I thought were right. And now, 20 plus years later, I see some of those people on Facebook, and they have come to know the Lord. Some of them no, some of them yes. But, I guess I just say that because in some of the stories we read this week, God saved them in the moment. God did not save me in the moment, but it was still the right thing to do.
So, high school lunchrooms, one of the worst places ever, other than locker room. But let me leave you with two verses real quick. One, I've already read, and it's from James, and it said this. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it's the Lord's will, we will live out or do this or that. As it is, you boast and brag, and all such boasting is evil. Anyone then who knows the good he ought to do and doesn't do it sins. You know what to do. You know what's right. The hard part is enacting it. But the Old Testament, 1 Samuel says this, now then, stand still and see this great thing the Lord is about to do before your eyes. That He is confirming in me right now that you are about to do some great things in your communities. You're about to stand up to somebody who you need to stand up to. That may be your parents. Now, the Bible says obey your parents, so don't be disrespectful. That may be your family. That may be some close friends. You may lose some friends after this weekend. And guess what? It's all right. You got us. All right? Stand firm and see what the Lord is about to do. He's going to do great things. Here's what we need to do today as we finish up.